guys, so today we are moving on into multiplying decimals instead of adding and subtracting decimals. So our main focus today is to multiply decimals by powers of 10. So this is pretty simple. So I'm going to show you how to do it. Let me get my book. Okay, so powers of 10 is like 1, 10, 100, 1,000, 10,000, and we represented those numbers with exponents. So if I have 10 to the third, that was the same thing as 1,000. So we're going to be multiplying decimals by 1,000 or 100 or 10. So if I have the decimal 75 hundredths multiplied by 10 to the first power. So we know 10 to the first power equals 10. So to multiply 75 hundredths times 10, all I need to do is see how many zeros this exponent here has. So with just 10, because 10 to the first equals 10, it has 1 0. So all I need to do, I want to move this decimal to the right to make it bigger. If I have like 10, 100, 1,000, we're making it bigger. So what we're going to do is take this decimal and move it. How many zeros we have? We have 1 0, so I'm going to move it here. And then I'm going to rewrite my number. So I've got 7.5. So you really don't even need to write this 0. All you need to write is 7 5/10. So let's say that we want to multiply 75 hundredths by 10 to the second. So we're going to do 75 hundredths times 10 to the second. We know that 10 to the second is 10 times 10, or 100. So I'm just going to go ahead and replace this 10 to the second with a 100. So if we look, I've got 2 zeros, one here and one here. So that means I'm going to take this decimal, because we're making it bigger for multiplying by 100, and I'm moving it over twice. So that's going to give me 0.75 decimal. Like I said before, we don't even need this 0. It would just be 75, or you can write 75.0. Okay, and so if you had if you had 75 hundredths times 10 to the third, which we know 10 to the third equals 1,000. So I'm just going to put a 1,000 up here because we know these are equivalent or equal. What this means is I've got to move my decimal over 1, 2, 3 places to make it bigger, because I've got 3 zeros. So I'm going to do 1, 2, and even though I don't have another number to move over, I still need to move it over. I know it's hard to see with that multiplication symbol. And then I'll put my decimal here. So what goes here, you ask? It would be a 0. So it would be, we don't need to rewrite our 0. It would be 750.0 or 750. And so if we had 10 to the fourth, that would mean 7,500 hundredths times 10,000. So all I would do is move it over 4 times and add another 0, and that would give us 7,500. So all you're doing when you're multiplying by powers of 10 is you are moving that decimal to make it bigger, because when I multiply by 10 or 100 or 1,000, it's going to make that number bigger. So that brings me to the point of when we multiply by other decimals. So if I have, let's see, if I just have 350 times 0.1. or 1/10. So if this is 0.1, when I'm saying 1/10, this would be the same thing as taking 1/10 of this number. So for this one, even though you don't see a decimal in 350, this decimal is right here, right? 350.0 is the same as 350. So if I'm taking 1/10 of this number, I'm taking 350 times 1/10. What I'm going to do is I'm making this number smaller if I'm taking 1/10 of it. So what I need to do is go to the left now. So we're making it smaller. So we're going to take this decimal and move it over one time to here. And I moved it over one time because I have, I just have one number to the right of my decimal. So that would give me 35.0, or you can just write 35 for this one. Okay, so we're taking 1/10 of that number. So if I had 350 times 0.001, not 001, let me check. Just 0.1. So if I have 350 times 100, this is the same as taking 1/100th of that number. So it's the same as dividing it by 100, or we can just look at how many digits we have to the right of our decimal. We have 1, 2. So my decimal's here, so I'm going to move it over 1, 2, and that's going to give me 3.50 or 3.5. Okay, so if I have 350 times 1,000, I'm taking 1/1,000th of this number. So I have 1, 2, 3 digits to the right of my decimal. So that means my decimal's here, so I'm going to move in 3. 1, 2, 3. My decimal will go here. I'm going to have 0.350. And it's important to add a 0 here just so you don't get confused. So that would be 350 thousandths, or you could write it like 3,500ths. Okay, so all we're doing is really moving that decimal in and moving that decimal out. So when you have other decimals, just when you say this number, this is 1/10, right? So I'm taking 1/10 of this number. When I have 1/100th, I'm taking 1/100th of this number. And all that means is you're moving that decimal in that many spaces. Okay, so you guys are going to be doing page 237. And so for this one, you will be multiplying decimals by powers of 10, also multiplying just whole numbers by powers of 10. I want to remind you really quickly before you start that 10 to the 0th power equals 1. 10 to the 1st power equals 10. 10 to the 2nd equals 100. 10 to the 3rd equals 1,000. So it's important that you rewrite those on top of the powers of 10 just so you remember. And if we did 10 to the 4th, it would be 10,000 and so on. Okay. All right. That is all I have for today. Let me know if you have any questions. So you need to probably email me or Miss Timpson if you are in her class. Okay. Thank you guys.